Bitcoin, let's zoom in right now, breaking of course to the upside after having been supported here from this level at exactly $79,500. We're gonna talk about this, talk about what I think will happen to Bitcoin next. If you're a returning subscriber and a viewer, then you already know what I'm gonna talk about. For everyone else, let's do a deep dive. All right, so Bitcoin right now, of course, if you zoom out on the daily, we know that Bitcoin has been trading in this bear flag pattern, mentioned it many times. Last time we had this bear flag pattern, we broke down. Same thing I think will happen again. We had topside resistance level right here in the 4 hourly. What has happened? What is doing Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin doing right now on the short time frame? Well, we've been trading upwards here. So initially I had this line. We've been trading like this. We broke down from there and I removed the line, and now right now we've been supported from the previous top at around $79,500. We found support obviously right here, as you can see, support. It has previously acted as resistance 2 times and now as support, and we're going back towards the top side levels. Now where are we going? Well, there's 2 levels where we're going. First is the CME gap. This is the gap that is formed over the weekend always. This is the Friday and this is the Monday, and we have a target of $84,000, which I still think we're gonna hit before eventually breaking to the downside. And then of course the second target, the second target is, well, if we go above the CME gap, and I have to mention it, then we will most likely go towards the level that Bitcoin has been supported with in the previous bear flag, which is this box that I marked, which is around about $86,000 to $88,000. I don't hope that we go there, because I have personally short positions open whereby I profit from Bitcoin going down, because eventually I think Bitcoin will break down rather sooner than later. But if we go above $84,000, then most likely we'll go to $86,000 next and break further up. But we know that usually Bitcoin, if you look at the monthly, let me remove all these indicators because I want to show you guys something very interesting in a bit. We know that Bitcoin in a bear market usually takes 365 days. Okay, now it's a bit complicated here on my chart because I have so many things here, but you can see that it's 365 days from the top to the bottom. I mean, let's go on to the last cycle, 365 days top to bottom. Cycle before that also 365 days top to bottom, and the second cycle 396 days. So a bit longer than the time before that, but we know that it usually takes 1 year to break down. Bitcoin also right now, of course, I want to show you what I wanted to show you guys, but Bitcoin has this major support line here, this white line that I drew, which has previously acted as resistance, has acted as support also, support here, and right now it's resistance. And this coincides perfectly with our daily chart, where we're at the top side of the bear flag pattern. There's clear resistance here, we're most likely going down. So what did I want to show you guys? And this is very interesting. So let me put it back here, and what I will show you guys here is that if we overlay the Bitcoin halving events, so these orange lines is whenever we had the halving, and then we go from the halving date and we see that it's always been 750 days from the halving that we usually found a level where we went down after that. So after 750 days after the halving, we usually had the final leg down, the final capitulation, the final dump before we found a bottom for Bitcoin. Look at this cycle. We had a dump here after 750 days, and we know that usually a bear market lasts for, like I said, a bear market is 365 days and a bull market is 1064 days. And from the halving event, and I will show this to you guys in a bit, it's very interesting. I didn't show this for quite a few months actually, but let's finish this. 750 days, also 750 days the cycle after that. We went a bit sideways, but we had one last push down. Last cycle, look at what happened last cycle, 750 days, last push down, and then we found the bottom. So we're almost there, we're almost at the bottom of the bear market. Give it a few more months, and right now 750 days, and let me remove this line, it's pretty much right here. It's in like 1 or 2 weeks. So if it's in a week, then I think we can go to $84,000 and then go down. But now, what will I show you guys? This is very interesting. What I'm gonna show you guys now, and I will add a few more things here, is looking at Bitcoin on the weekly, we can see something very interesting, a clear pattern forming. okay? You need to pay close attention. So we have obviously the halving date, which is the orange line. The halving occurs every 4 years when a certain number of Bitcoin blocks is being mined by the miners. And we can see a clear pattern. What can you see? From the halving, we measure from the halving, 40 weeks after the halving, this is 40 weeks, we usually have the best time to start taking profits, okay? Look at this. Between 40 and 80 weeks after the halving, usually we find a top for Bitcoin. And usually after 80 weeks, you should be selling. I mean, here the top was obviously a bit before that, but after 80 weeks, we usually enter a bear market and we go down. Let me talk about this first. The cycle after that, take profits anywhere between 40 weeks and 80 weeks. It's usually at the end, closer to the end of the 80 weeks. And then after 80 weeks, we start going down. Let's look at the last cycle. We had obviously two tops here. Between 40 weeks and 80 weeks, you want to take profits in this time frame. Pretty much at 80 weeks, we started going down. And this is crazy. And this is how I was able to predict. If you go back to my videos, like, half a year ago, I was always saying in October of 2025, we're going to find the top of the bull market. Why did I say that? And I always reference to this chart because usually at 80 weeks, we find that we go down. And pretty much the same thing happened. Look, just a bit before 80 weeks, we went down. So if you take your profits in a bull cycle, in the last quadrant here, if you put this indicator on, the indicator is called, if you want to look it up, Bitcoin halving cycle profit. Look it up on TradingView and you will thank me later. When we have the next bull market, we go down. But now this is not really interesting because we're in a bear market right now. So you might want to ask, well, let's look at history. When do we usually start buying? When do we DCA, dollar cost average? And well, the chart is telling us 135 weeks. Look at this, 135 weeks after the halving, we should take profits. So this is 135 weeks after the orange line here. And this is usually when you find a bottom for Bitcoin. And you can see it's pretty much a bottom. And if we go to the next cycle, 135 weeks, also it was at the bottom. So if you bought at 135 weeks after the halving and you started buying maybe a month before that and a month after that, you're almost guaranteed to hit the bottom. You cannot hit the exact bottom, of course, but you're going to buy fairly close to the bottom. And also look at last cycle. Obviously, last cycle, the cycle before, $69,000 top. And then if you bought 135 weeks after, you would have bought at $16,000, which is an amazing entry price. So same thing this time. If we buy 135 weeks after the halving, so let me quickly calculate how much is that. 135 times 7. So that's 945 days because we're on the daily chart. So I need to calculate it like this. So 945 days, guys, is here. November 5th. It's telling us, what is it? November 23rd. November 23rd apparently is the bottom or when you should start buying. And we can see that usually it's a bit after the bottom, actually. You can see here it's a bit after the bottom. The bottom is here a few days before that. And also here, the bottom is a bit before that. And if we go back to our monthly chart, which I love to always talk about, then we know that the bear market lasts 365 days. Like I said, 365 days from the top will bring us to October. 1st of October, 5th of October, approximately there. And that's exactly what we said before. We said November, right? So October, November, September, that's when you should be buying. I hope it made excellent, clear sense for you guys now. Okay, now the Bitcoin, and it's good that I mentioned that because I think it will be really helpful. So Bitcoin CME gap. Obviously right now it's the weekend, so this chart is not moving. These candles only move over the weekdays. And we don't want a CME gap because if we create another CME gap, it's always a magnet. We know the CME gap acts as a magnet. We go towards that price. And here, for example, you see we had a gap and the Bitcoin was down. It was a magnet and Bitcoin went back up and filled the gap. So we don't want to have another gap here. At least we don't want to have a gap above the current price. So the closing price right now is $80,385. If Bitcoin now, today is Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday, it's right now trading at, what is it? What's Bitcoin trading at? $80.8 thousand. We want to be closing around about the same price, between $80,000 to $81,000. We don't form a CME gap. Perfect. Then we go towards the upside, fill the $84,000 gap, and go back down. Hopefully that happens. Let's see. I'm personally in a short position, like I already said. Let me show you the short position right here. So my short position is four ways. I entered my first one at $81,000, then another one at 82,000, and I will have another one that's not yet opened, but 83,000, and then 84,000, obviously coinciding with the CME gap. So that's the strategy. I will not deviate from the strategy. Right now I would be in profit slightly, but let's see. I think we're gonna go up, and I'm totally fine with that. Okay, that's enough for Bitcoin on the analysis part. Let's look at Bitcoin here on the liquidation heat map. This is telling us where people get liquidated who have positions. So if the liquidation price is above us, you have a short position, meaning that if the price goes against you, it goes up, then you get liquidated and you lose your position. If it's below us, you have a long position and you get liquidated. Right now, where do we have liquidity? We have a bit more liquidity above us. You can see here all the way up to 85. So it's perfect. You go to fill the CME gap, get that liquidity. Bitcoin always gets the liquidity, and then go down. We have some liquidity here at $79,000, but then we have a lot of liquidity building up from, of course, long positions, people who are now longing the market because they see it's going up. So every guy with two brain cells will start longing the markets when it goes up. And we can see it's $77,500 approximately. So we're most likely gonna go to the top and then go back to the bottom. And also looking here at this chart, this is telling us cumulative liquidation. So we can see that over the last 90 days, we have a lot more long liquidation. So these are people who are long and they will be liquidated. There's a total of $6 billion of long liquidations, and there's only $1.6 billion of short liquidations. So it's telling us that a lot more people are long right now, with a lot of leverage at least. And usually the market goes in opposite direction. So it wants to always grab the liquidity. And to grab the liquidity, Bitcoin is here at $80.7 thousand. We have to go down. So most likely Bitcoin follows always the liquidation. Let's talk about Ethereum. I actually haven't talked about Ethereum for quite a while. Ethereum is right now not very interesting. I mean, as long as Bitcoin is not going up, I don't think Ethereum will go anywhere. And we can see that Ethereum is, I mean, I just drew these lines on a weekly, but we can see there has been support and resistance here. Right now we are below that level. And if I zoom in a bit, let me reload the page. If I zoom in here on the daily, actually the 4 hourly, we can see that we are being supported by this major support line, which has been acting as support, and resistance. And I think Ethereum will just go sideways for some time. So really, guys, don't invest in Ethereum right now. Don't even invest in Bitcoin unless you think long term, of course. But wait until we go down. Why would you buy now if you can buy it for cheaper? And that's it for today's video. Hope you guys liked the insight. Bye.